Hi there, this is Stacy Phillips, and this is my video log for Saturday, September 7th. Yep, September 7th, 2013. Yesterday I was doing a little bit of reading in Dr. A's Habits of Health at the coffee shop, and something I came across again, which I think is so important, it just brought to mind this whole example, is when he talks about problem solving versus desired outcome. And what that basically means is, are we in this process to actually, are we trying to fix a problem? Like, are we trying to fix our bad health, or are we trying to fix the fact that we feel horrible all the time? Or are we trying to create health, which is an outcome orientation, which is looking at something that we want and going after that. And one thing that came to mind was, he talks about shifting our emphasis from what we're against to what we're for. So instead of looking at what we don't want in our lives, or what we don't want to do today, or what we don't want to eat if it's right in front of us and it's a temptation, and we're shifting our focus on what we don't want, instead just shifting our focus over from that to what we're for, what we do want. And one of really good example of this is, and I also try and put it in different terms, is that if you have a behavior that you're trying to change, instead of focusing on the bad behavior, what you term in your mind as bad, negative. I don't want to eat the ice cream sandwich. If you think about that all day long, I don't want to eat the ice cream sandwich, I don't want to eat the ice cream sandwich, and you're focusing on what you don't want to do, that tension that you're creating in your brain is going to cause you really to do it. It's going to be like a bullseye on that ice cream sandwich until you eat it, or you go crazy not eating it. And it's like, instead of then taking your mind and going, okay, I desire health, so I am going to eat these things today, and instead of focusing on what you don't want to do, focus on what you do want to do. For example, this is a very real example. It's called target fixation. And right now, if you look up Wikipedia on target fixation, it will give you kind of the wiki definition of it, and it's going to tell you in terms really of motorcycles and mountain bikers. And it says target fixation is a process by which the brain is focused so intently on an observed object that awareness of other obstacles or hazards can diminish. Also, in an avoidance scenario, the observer can become so fixated on the target that they will forget to take the necessary action to avoid it, thus colliding with the object. This is a common issue for motorcyclists and mountain bikers. A motorcycle or bicyclist will tend to go where the rider is looking. A motorcycle or a bicycle will tend to go where the rider is looking. If the rider is overtly focused on an obstacle, the cycle can collide with that obstacle simply because of the rider's focus on it, even though the rider is ostensibly trying to avoid it. The term target fixation was used in World War II fighter bomber pilot training to describe pilots flying into targets during a strafing or bombing run. Now, they saw this in the World War II, where the fighter pilots were so intently focused on the target that they wanted to destroy. Okay, it's a negative target, destroy target, that they flew right into it. And even though they were trying to avoid it, in fact, they were trying to shoot it and fly around it, but they flew into it. And my husband, last weekend when he was out mountain biking, I told him I was going to use him as an example today. He was like, oh, goody. So he's a mountain biker, and he was out on the trail with a friend. And had just stopped and talked for a few minutes while they were about to go again, and then he got on his bike, and he started going forward, and literally there was a rock, a boulder, like on the side of the trail. I mean, it was kind of in the trail, but it was on the side, plenty enough room to get around. Anyway, in his mind, as he was going forward, he was thinking, can't hit that rock, can't hit that rock, can't hit that rock, don't hit the rock. And he hit the rock. I mean, bang on, front tire into the rock. He fell off his bike. So he was okay. He was fine, thank goodness. But it was a very real example of how something right in front of you that you're trying to avoid, because you're focused on it, you're going to hit it instead of going around it. So in a sense, if you're focusing on what you don't want or you don't want to do, you're just most likely going to collide with that. You're going to collide with that behavior. You're going to collide with that object. You're going to collide. You're going to hit it because you're focused on it. It becomes a target because you're focusing on it. So the thing to do is to actively realize that you're doing that and say, well, okay, I don't want to focus on what I don't want to do. I need to focus on what I do want in my life and what I do want to do. That's what I need to focus on for the best success and to make this process a joyful one. Otherwise, we're going to hit the negative target every time. So it's like, me putting my hands up, okay, I've got, this picture and this ball of yarn. This is my husband's before and after, by the way. There he is. Hey. All right, so what I want is I don't want you to look at this. Don't look at this. Look at the ball of yarn. Don't look at this, but don't look at this. Whatever you do, don't look at this. Okay, so how hard is it to pull your eyes away from what I'm telling you not to look at? It's pretty hard. So we do the same thing with food, with desserts, with the things that we think are temptations. We're focused on them all day long, and we're just creating that tension in our brain to not do that, not get up at night and eat. Don't get up at night and eat. Don't eat right before you go to bed. As far as off-plan items, don't do that, don't do that, don't do that. And all of a sudden we find ourselves doing it because we're colliding with that object. We're colliding with what we've been focused on. So Dr. A would agree, and I forget what page it's on. I just even read it yesterday. I think it's in chapter 3 or 4, which I highly recommend reading. Again, even if you've read it, is how to not do that, how to focus on what you want to create with this process, because this is an amazingly creative and amazing journey. I just used amazing twice there, but it is wonderful, and there's a lot of joy to be had in this journey if we're focusing on what we want to create. So we have to know what we want to create, and that's a really kind of cool thing to sit down and spend some real time. If you've never done that before, if you've been a yo-yo dieter and you've just gone up and down and up and down, you probably are dieting because you're in emotional pain and conflict, and so that forces you to change because the pain to change is, or the pain to remain the same is greater than the pain of change, and so you change for a while. Then that emotional pain and conflict diminishes because you're getting some results, but then you're not motivated anymore to continue because you're not in conflict. And so you almost have to go back up to create the conflict again to continue to and you get that oscillating pattern. Are you doing that? Then most likely you'll still have a dieter's mindset, and there's some work to be done in this book, some work to be done. So start reading it and start taking notes, intentionally reading it and taking notes. Get the companion guide, start working through the workbook. I've done the same thing. I'm about halfway through the workbook right now, and it's very life-changing for me. So yes, that is my advice for today. I guess that's my story, and how it played out in my life is that I lost quite a bit of weight and maintained it for about 18 months. I mean, a significant amount of weight, over 100 pounds, 120 pounds, 130 pounds. Maintaining that, but never was solidly into a healthy BMI. I was flirting on the edge of overweight, and for me, that didn't feel right. And so when I began again, I realized that what I wanted to create with the journey, and so I started focusing on that instead of what I didn't want to do. I started focusing on what I did want to do and who I did want to be, the person that I was, who I wanted to be, and what would that person do. And so I began to do what I knew that person would do. And so just, some encouragement for the weekend. If you're brand new at this process of becoming optimally healthy, I'm excited for you. So feel free to contact me at mycoachstacy@gmail.com. If you do not currently have a health coach, please contact me at mycoachstacy, mycoachstacy@gmail.com, and I can let you know how to get on the path to optimal health. All right, thanks. Have a great day. Bye-bye.